On the night of the following day, Mama Nena began preparing her for the journey. She helped her put on the white robe, then using the native chalk, she drew the symbol of the cross on her forehead. "Are you not afraid?" she asked Nena. "No, mommy, not even the slightest," Nena responded. Mama Nena responded, opening her palms in the air. "God, please, bring my daughter back, oh. I cannot lose two children at a time," she prayed. Then looking at Nena with deep concern, almost in tears this time. "Are you sure you can do this?" she asked. "Yes, I can," Nena answered, "definitely." The die was cast. The necromancer's spell was potent. Now taking the horn, she hung it around Nena's neck. The time was 11:50 p.m. Every other member of the house had gone to bed except Nena's father. Now there was a knock on the door. Nena's father had come to check if they were ready. Nena's mother, carrying the Bible herself, handed the plate with the egg to her husband. "Carefully, honey. Remember it must not break," she said. "Now let's go," she said, and slowly they began walking through the house, careful not to break the egg or make any other mistake, until they were out of the house. Then they rounded the house till they came to the back, by the window to the children's room. Nena came and stood by the spot where the orifice had appeared the other day, pointing to the spot. "This was where the ground opened," she said. "Okay, so blow the horn," her father urged. In truth, while Nena's parents had been absorbed and convinced by the necromancer's knowledge and acts, they still couldn't believe that the ground of their compound would open to the sound of a horn blown by their daughter. So now, taking the horn, Nena blew it 3 times, and immediately she was done. The sound of the ground before her began spiraling, and as it did, fear gripped her parents. And holding each other, they stepped backwards. "Chineke," Mama Nena muttered in a whisper, as the sand gave way to the portal, which was begrimed with red smoke. Now with the ground open, Nena stretched out her hands to her parents to collect from them the rest of the items she needed for her journey. Her mother handed her the Bible, and carefully her father handed her the bowl with the egg in it. Holding the Bible to her chest as instructed, and the bowl with the egg into her bosom with her other hand, her heart was fixed on the journey ahead. And as she placed one foot into the portal, she began Psalm 23. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." As she recited, she was slowly taken into the realm beyond, her parents watching as she was slowly swallowed into the earth. By the time she was fully in, the red smoke clouded her vision, such that at first she strained to see. She turned and watched as the portal slowly sealed behind her. Now, with the portal sealed, she began hearing distant noises, screams, banshee-like wails, screeches, cries. It felt as though there were a million souls in the distance whispering at once. She listened hard to make sense of what was being said, but she couldn't make any sense of the uncanny cacophony. Then suddenly, from nowhere, a puppet-like creature with multiple limbs sped past her front, mumbling. Slowly now, the red smoke had gradually condensed, and she could see clearly a bit, so her eyes followed as the creature sped away in an unnatural speed. Then she remembered the words of the necromancer. The things you will see are unreal to this world, so you must act as though they are unreal. And with this, she turned and faced her front, took in a deep breath, and with all the energy she could summon, she called, "Brian! Brian! Brian!" And then she listened. Few seconds later, she began hearing a baby's cry. At first, it was faint. Then slowly, as she walked in the direction which it came, it gradually grew louder. As she walked, she came to what seemed like a river, a red river, from which smoke emanated. She saw dwarf-like creatures with frog heads and human bodies crossing the river latitudinally. But she bore in mind that she had to pretend they were unreal, so she continued walking. She walked into the river and walked on. It got deeper until it came to her neck, and as she approached the other end, she slowly emerged out of it again. But as she came out of the river, she realized that her robe was not wet. Strange as it was, she continued, paying no mind to the phenomena. She had walked a few paces from the river before her eyes beheld skeletons dancing in circular motion. They were dancing to nothing, no music, except the cacophony of noises from countless of lost souls. Now she faced a challenge. The skeletons seemed to be everywhere. There was no way through which she could bypass them, and so decidedly she walked through their middle, pretending she didn't see them. By now, Brian's cry was loud and clear. She looked in the direction from which it came from and saw a hut from which smoke emanated. Then a sweet scent carried to her nose. The scent which she knew was coming from the hut as she drew closer, and at this she became instantly hungry and famished. The black humongous creature stood by a fireplace in the hut, which had a giant black pot on it, humming, and as it hummed, it stirred the content of the pot. A few feet from the fireplace was a cradle, inside which was baby Brian, fussing. The creature hummed with the intention to calm baby Brian down, but the more it hummed, the louder the baby cried. Suddenly, it stopped stirring. Something had occurred to it. That baby Brian was crying so loudly without soothing meant there was something amiss. So leaving the fireplace, it went to the table of conjuring, and looking into the crystal, it asked, Now, show me, what is amiss?" And the crystal showed it that Nena was on her way to the hut, and she wasn't far. "Oh, what a brave child, and she comes," the creature said, and began roaring in laughter. Nena heard the frightening roar of laughter as she neared the hut, but it did not deter her. She walked until she was at the door of the hut. Now slowly she squatted, and with much effort she carefully lowered the bowl of eggs to the ground. And then she knocked, and immediately the door was opened, and the huge creature was standing before her. Had the necromancer not placed the spell of courage on her, fear would have made a puppet of her. But now, as she picked the bowl of egg, which the creature did not see just yet, and rose up, looking into the face and eye of the monster fearlessly. "I am here for my brother," she said. And looking through the space between the monster and the door, she saw the cradle in which she was sure Brian lay in. "Your brother?" the monster roared with a smirk. "Yes, my brother," Nena answered fearlessly. "And what makes you think I will release him to you?" the creature asked. Now Brian's cry was so loud that it was almost deafening. "Don't you see? He cries. He does not belong here. He belongs with us, his family. Give him back," Nena said with vim. "Oh, I see," the monster said. "Why don't you come in and take a seat and let me serve you?" the monster asked. And at the sound of this, Nena's stomach growled. She was unbearably hungry, even though she had eaten very well before embarking on the journey. As she stepped into the house, she made to go to where the baby was, but the monster got in her way. "Have a seat," it roared. "Why can't I see him?" she asked. "You must have a seat," the monster said. Going over to one of the chairs carved out of tree trunks, Nena sat down, but anxiety kept her edgy as she was desperate to see her baby brother. Few moments later, the creature came back with a bowl of broth and placed it before her. Watch out on this space for the part 5 of Stolen Baby.